U.S. stocks shrug off the World Bank's dim global economic growth outlook, and India hikes its rates by 50 basis points. You're watching the Daily Brief with Forbes. I'm Ramia Faraj. Wall Street stocks finished another volatile session solidly higher at its close, largely shrugging off a World Bank warning about the global economy. Despite the negative World Bank outlook, some investors found stocks attractive. The Dow Jones ended up 0.8%, the S&P gained 1%, and the Nasdaq jumped 0.9%. The World Bank downgraded its forecast for global economic growth for this year to 2.9% from 4.1% in January. This compares with last year's growth of 5.7%. Global growth is expected to maintain a similar pace throughout 2023 and 2024 due to the near-term impact of the Ukraine war on trade, investment, and economic activity, alongside weakening demand and tight financial and monetary policies. The per capita income in developing countries this year is expected to be 5% below pre-pandemic levels. Despite global markets taking a hit over recession fears over the past months, some experts remain cautiously optimistic about the economy's prospects. Some predict that a downturn can be avoided if inflation continues to moderate and consumer spending remains resilient. Analysts expect U.S. GDP growth of between 2% and 3% this quarter, a solid rebound from the previous quarter. Analysts at LPL Financial forecast full-year GDP growth of 2.6% and says the economy is simply slowing rather than shrinking and will therefore avoid a recession. The U.S. exported 74% of its LNG to Europe in the first 4 months of 2022, compared to an annual average of 34% the year previous due to surging demand. U.S. LNG exports averaged 11.5 billion cubic feet per day during the first 4 months, up 18% from the same period last year. The EIA says additional export capacity that came online this year and increased demand, notably in Europe, drove the growth in U.S. LNG exports. India has hiked its key interest rate by 50 basis points to 4.9% to fight inflation. Analysts had been divided over how much it would hike, with forecasts ranging from between 25 to 75 basis points. Today's increase follows a 40 basis point rise last month at an unscheduled meeting that kicked off the central bank's tightening cycle. China's BYD, the world's biggest manufacturer of electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids, says it's preparing to supply Tesla with batteries very soon. BYD launched its Blade battery in 2020, a less bulky lithium iron phosphate battery that it says is safer than other alternatives in the market and will not catch fire. Currently, Chinese battery giant CATL is the sole supplier of LFP batteries to Tesla, which has been installing such batteries in cars manufactured in the Shanghai plant since 2020. China has approved the release of 60 new video games, boosting the shares of some of its biggest tech firms today on hopes that a long-running crackdown on the sector is easing. Chinese officials rolled out a series of restrictions last year as part of a sweeping government campaign to rein in huge tech firms. They capped the amount of gaming time for kids and froze approvals for new games for 9 months, debilitating tech companies, including sector titan Tencent. The heirs of an author whose article inspired the 1986 film Top Gun have sued Paramount Pictures for copyright infringement. 3 decades after the blockbuster original, which was based on Ehud Yone's 1983 magazine article Top Guns, Paramount released the Top Gun sequel last month. The writer's family, who live in Israel, say the story's copyright was returned to them in 2020 and Paramount ignored this. They want to stop Paramount from distributing its sequel, and they're suing for other damages. I'm Ramia Faraj. This is the Daily Brief. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.